guys, welcome back. This is Mrs. Vogel here with our next couple of chapters with the story of Ruby Holler. I hope everybody's been enjoying so far the first 6 chapters that we've read. Just to recap, yesterday we read about the thinking corners, which is like a timeout, right? But it's not your traditional timeout. It's in a basement, cobwebby. It doesn't sound very nice at all. And if I see spiders, you best believe I'm not going to sit there. Truth, anybody that knows me knows I hate spiders. But anyway, we know that Dallas and Florida tend to spend a little bit too much time in those thinking corners, don't they? So we learned a little bit about that, and then we also read about the opportunity. And if you remember, the opportunity was simply where Mr. and Mrs. Trepid had pulled Dallas and Florida in and said they had a splendid opportunity for the two of them to go to the Rutabaga River and to Kangadoon. Now we know that they were suspiciously excited, and the two people that would take them were Mr. and Mrs. Morey, Tiller and Sari, who we actually have already met. So sounds like a fun start to a lovely adventure. So we are going to start today with chapter 7, and that is called Doubts. Dallas and Florida crawled into their closets and lifted the cardboard covering the hole in the wall.
"What did you think of the lunatics?"
Florida whispered.
"Well, they seemed okay. Better than the usual sort. They smiled a lot."
"Yeah? With those hoppers and crambeps and Bridgertons and those creepy drape people? They all smiled too, until they got a dose of us."
Dallas was thinking about that trip to Kangadoon. He saw himself on the island in the ocean making a campfire. The waves were lapping in the distance. What if these old lunatics
Are like the last pair. That slimeball slave driver and his twitchy wife. Maybe these two are different.
Doubt it.
Maybe we should just go get on that night train like we planned. What about money? We need a little money first. We're never getting any money. If we wait until money falls in our laps, we're gonna be here forever. You look at your pamphlet? How does that Rutabaga River thing look?
Like paradise? It's probably fake. What's that Kangadoon place look like?
Oh, double paradise.
What's the catch? What do you think is the real story behind these two old people saying they're gonna take us on these trips?
They're not that old. And maybe there isn't any catch.
And maybe there is. I hate it here. But I hate worse going with crazy people in their houses and getting yelled at and scolded and told that we're loud and messy and stupid.
I know, but maybe.
Yeah. Always bet maybe. And it's never any better. And usually it's worse, and I'm sick of it. I vote for the freight train.
Let's just look at those pamphlets one more time and think about it tonight. Okay?
Later, as Florida lay in the bed listening to the wail of the freight train passing through Boxton, she thought about the old lunatics and about going down a river in a boat. She wanted to be in that boat on the river, but she wanted to be there with Dallas, not with an old man. She hated the thought of being separated from Dallas. She felt that the only reason they'd survived this long without turning into cowardly wimps or juvenile delinquents was because they had each other. In the next room, Dallas counted the wheels of the freight train. He saw himself in Kangadoon, wading barefoot along the shore. The sky was blue, the water was blue, the sun beamed down. Footprints on the sand. He whirled around and drew his sword. The next chapter is called Hansel and Gretel. You guys heard that story before? Hansel and Gretel? That makes me a little nervous. How about you? Let's see. Dallas and Florida were squashed in between Tiller and Sari Morey on the front seat of their old truck, bouncing along the road out of town. "Where exactly are you taking us?" Florida had asked.
"Ruby Holler,"
Tiller had said. He turned to her when he answered, and she saw that he had a pleasant, tanned face and deep blue eyes. His hair was very white and short, sticking up in places in the back of his head. Up close like this, he didn't look as old as Florida had first thought, but she wasn't going to trust his pleasant face either. And where exactly is Ruby Holler? Sari answered, tapping Florida's arm as she did so. Down the road a piece, and then down another road back into the hills. Sari's hand, Florida noticed, was a little wrinkly, but the skin was soft. Florida wasn't going to be fooled by soft-looking skin. Florida whispered to Dallas,
Those creepy drapes lived up in the hills. Hope it's not the same hills.
Dallas cringed, then closed his eyes and tried to picture other hills, rolling hills, green hills. How come you're not going with each other on these trips? Florida had asked Sari, but it was Tiller who answered. Now there's a good question, he said, glancing at Sari. He sounded a bit grumpy, Florida thought. He was going to probably be the first one to yell at them. Sari chattered all the way to Ruby Holler. Look at that there road rabbit, she said, and over there's where we found stray lamb. And on and on and on she went like that, while Tiller kept his mouth shut and his eyes fixed on the road ahead. Definitely something bugging him, Florida had thought. As they pulled onto a narrow dirt road, Sari had said, You're now entering Ruby Holler, the one and only Ruby Holler. Your lives are never going to be the same. Oh, don't you have to exaggerate, Tiller had said. Florida and Dallas stared out the window at the winding road ahead and at the tall leafy trees flanking the road and the stretches of wild grass and blue and red and yellow flowers blooming in thick clumps. See over there? Bear bush. And over there? Tickle violets. When they got out of the truck, Florida pulled Dallas aside. I think these two are a bit off their rockers. Look at this place! You ever see anything so amazing? All these trees, all these hills. Is that a creek over there? Dallas, don't go falling for sweet talk and trees and creeks. We've got to be ready to flee for these hills and catch that train, you hear? Well, I hope you don't mind, sleeping arrangements, Sari said as she stepped onto the front porch. Where are you putting us? In the hog pen? Florida had asked. The hog pen? I'm afraid we don't have no cock-mine hog pen. I suppose we could build you one, though, if you really wanted. You got a snake pit? A snake pit? You hankering for a slimy snake pit? No, Florida had said. Don't mind the sagging porch, Sari said, leading the way inside. And our place is kind of small, I know. She paused to smooth a quilt covering a chair. You'll be upstairs. In the attic? You got a dusty, cobwebby attic up there? Sari motioned to the wooden ladder. It's a loft. See? Up there? It's kind of open to everything down below. I hope you don't mind. All our kids slept up there together. I'm sorry we don't have separate rooms for y'all. Florida and Dallas scrambled up the ladder into the light, airy loft. Windows overlooked the trees outside and the deep blue mountains beyond. There were 4 beds in the room, each covered with a brightly colored quilt, with hundreds of patches of red and orange and yellow and brilliant green stitched together. Dallas gazed out at the trees. It's like a treehouse up here. A treehouse with beds. Up here? Is this where you mean? Florida called down to Sari. In this big, huge place? Where's there a cupboard? You gonna put us in a cupboard? Well, I thought you might sleep in those beds. Well, not all of them. 2 of them. I hope that's okay. I hope you be comfortable up there. Dallas sank into one soft bed. Florida, this is like floating on a cloud. Try it. Florida stretched out on another bed.
Probably has bugs in it, she said, jumping up again.
What's the catch? Are they gonna fatten us up like Hansel and Gretel and stick us in the oven?
Dallas, Florida, could you please come down here?
See? I bet they're gonna put us to work now. We're probably gonna have to dig a well or something.
Downstairs, Sari and Tiller had laid the table with a yellow tablecloth. Spread across was a sliced ham, warm applesauce sprinkled with cinnamon, hot cornbread, and green beans. 4 places were set. Kind of sounds like a southern meal, doesn't it?
It's a feast, Dallas thought, for kings and queens and very important people.
You having company? We have to go outside now? Florida had asked.
This is for us. For the 4 of us. 2 of us and 2 of you.
Florida turned to Dallas.
See,
she whispered.
Hansel and Gretel don't eat too much.
That night, Dallas fell asleep quickly and was dreaming about his favorite place, a sandy patch of earth beneath a leafy tree, with a curtain of branches dipping down all around him. It was not a place he'd ever seen, except in his dreams.
Dallas,
Florida called, waking him.
Don't you get too comfy.
Tomorrow is probably when we're going to get to see the yuck part of all this.
Florida felt really crabby, typical, and unsettled, as if it were her responsibility to stay on alert. Dallas was falling under the spell of all those trees and hills, so she was going to have to be extra ready. She didn't trust this idyllic-looking place or that odd couple either.
Dallas,
she said, waking him again.
Even if this was a paradise, which is probably not, and even if you wanted to stay here forever, it's not gonna happen. Those people are gonna get mad at us before you know it, and they'll have us back to the putrid trepids before you can blink. So I say, let's just plan on getting on that night train as soon as possible. You hear me?
Dallas mumbled, rolling over and returning to his tree shelter dream. Florida tossed and turned and eventually dreamed about lizards and rats chasing her through the woods. She was running towards something in the distance, but she didn't know what it was that she was running toward. And she didn't know why she was carrying a scrunched up cardboard box in her hands. All she knew was that she couldn't drop that box. Well, I wonder what's going to happen next. Is this too good to be true, guys? Do you think so? Or do you think these people are really good people and really truly want to go on this trip with some young kids? And why do you think they want young kids to go with them on this trip if they are going to go? Do you think that they're going to yell at them? Do you think they're going to turn them back into the trepids? You'll have to wait and find out. I hope you have some good clues from the book that help you make that decision and that prediction. Till next time, guys, I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.